If you have been standing at the mirror watching the silver spread and telling yourself this is simply what getting older looks like, I need you to hear something. For a great many people, that is not the whole story. And in some cases, it is barely the story at all. Because inside every hair follicle on your head sits a tiny pigment factory. And that it shuts down when it stops receiving the specific raw materials it needs to run. 5 of them, to be precise. And the research on this is uncomfortable for the beauty industry, because it means the box of dye on your bathroom shelf is covering a signal rather than answering it. Today I'm walking you through the 5 deficiencies, most strongly linked to premature graying, in order, and telling you exactly which blood test to ask for so you stop guessing. Stay with me, because the 5th one is the single most documented nutritional cause of early gray in the medical literature, and it becomes dramatically more common after 50. For a reason almost nobody explains, your doctor has probably never mentioned any of this. Not because they are hiding it, because appointments are too short. I'm Dr. Alan Brooks. I have spent 35 years as a board-certified dermatologist focused on hair and scalp, and more than 10,000 patients have sat across my desk. And this is the topic that genuinely changed how I think about gray hair, because I used to accept it as I was taught to, as pure chronology. What changed my mind was the patients who did not fit. Men in their late 30s going white at the temples. Women who went from salt and pepper to almost fully silver in 18 months. That is not a clock ticking. That is something happening. And when I started running proper blood work on those patients instead of shrugging, the same handful of gaps kept appearing. This channel is where I say what I never have time to say in a 15-minute visit. Maybe you know the exact moment. You spot a fresh patch of silver at your temple that was not there last month. Or you catch yourself doing the arithmetic in the mirror, comparing this year to 2 years ago, and the pace of it frightens you a little. Or you have simply surrendered to the dye every 4 weeks, watching the roots come back faster than they used to, and feeling like you are losing a race. That is not vanity. Your hair color is one of the few visible readouts of your internal chemistry, and when it changes quickly, that is worth paying attention to for reasons that go beyond how you look in photographs. Now let me be straight with you about the title of this video, because I will not sell you a fairy tale to keep you watching. Age and genetics are real, and they matter. If you are 75 and silver, that is normal, healthy biology, and no supplement on Earth is going to reverse it. So when I say gray is not simply aging, here is precisely what I mean. If you are graying unusually early, or unusually fast, or far ahead of what happened to your parents at the same age, then age is not a sufficient explanation, and a deficiency very often is. And that kind of gray behaves completely differently, because when you correct the shortage, the new hair growing in from the root can come back with pigment. Not the hair you already have, which is already made. The new hair. That is the honest promise, and it is worth understanding properly. So let me show you the factory, because once you see how it runs, all 5 of these make immediate sense. At the base of every hair follicle live specialized cells called melanocytes, and their entire job is to manufacture pigment and inject it into the hair as it grows. To do that, they rely on an enzyme called tyrosinase, which is the machine on the factory floor that actually converts an amino acid into melanin. Now here is the thing about enzymes that almost nobody outside of medicine understands. An enzyme is not self-sufficient. It requires specific mineral and vitamin partners, called cofactors, physically slotted into it in order to function at all. Take the cofactor away, and the machine sits there intact, but idle. That is the first way a deficiency turns your hair white. The second way is more destructive. Every time your cells produce energy, they generate a small amount of hydrogen peroxide as a byproduct, which is chemically the same family of compound used to bleach hair on purpose. Your body neutralizes it with an enzyme called catalase, which also depends on nutrients to work. When those run short, peroxide accumulates inside the follicle and does 2 things at once. It bleaches the hair from the inside, and it damages the melanocytes themselves. So picture a paint factory. Missing cofactors mean the machines stall. Missing catalysts means corrosive bleach is pooling on the factory floor, eating the machines. Age turns both of those dials slowly. A deficiency turns them fast. Number 5 is zinc, and it is the one people consider last. Zinc is involved in the enzyme activity and the tissue repair that follicles depend on, and it plays a role in the antioxidant defenses that keep peroxide in check. When zinc runs low, the whole follicle environment deteriorates, and pigment production is one of the first things to suffer, because pigment is a luxury your body cuts before anything essential. Here is the tell that makes zinc easy to spot, and I want you to check yourself right now as I describe it. Zinc deficiency very rarely shows up in hair alone. Look at your fingernails. Are there white spots, ridges, or unusual brittleness? Now look at your eyebrows, specifically the outer third, the part nearest your temples. Has it thinned or faded? When I see hair changes alongside those two signs together, zinc goes straight to the top of my list. The mistake with zinc is that people either never consider it, or they discover it and immediately buy a high-dose supplement, which is genuinely a bad idea, because high-dose zinc blocks your absorption of copper. And copper, as you are about to hear, matters enormously here. Minerals work as a team. Flood one and you starve another. Number 4 is vitamin D, and this one is the most common deficiency on the entire list. Research has repeatedly found lower vitamin D levels in people with premature graying compared to those without. And the mechanism makes sense, because vitamin D receptors sit inside the hair follicle itself, and vitamin D is deeply involved in the health and cycling of the cells there, including the pigment cells. And here is why it hits our age group so hard. Your skin's ability to manufacture vitamin D from sunlight declines dramatically with age, sometimes to less than half of what it was in your 20s. Add indoor work, sensible sunscreen use, and any winter at all, and an enormous number of people over 50 are quietly running low with no idea. The mistake is assuming you are fine because you get outside sometimes. This is one you cannot judge by feel, because most people who are deficient feel perfectly normal, or put their tiredness down to age. It has to be measured. Now, a quick word before we go on, and then I will get back to the list. Some of you watching are not only noticing the silver, you are noticing that alongside it, your hair has less density than it used to. Those are two different problems with two different answers, and I will come back to the density side properly in a moment, because it is not solved by anything on this list. Number 3 is iron, and specifically your iron stores rather than your basic blood count. Iron carries oxygen through your blood, and melanocytes are among the most metabolically demanding cells you have, constantly manufacturing pigment. Starve them of oxygen and production falters. Low iron has been associated with premature graying, and it is extremely common, particularly in women and in anyone over 60 whose absorption has declined. Now, here is the detail that matters more than anything else in this item, and it is where most people get failed by the system. You can walk out of a doctor's office told your blood work is normal while being significantly iron depleted, because a standard blood count measures your hemoglobin, not your stored iron. Your body will keep hemoglobin normal by draining your reserves first. The test that reveals the truth is called ferritin, which measures those stored reserves, and it is not always included by default. So you have to ask for it by name. That single word can change the entire outcome of your appointment. Before I give you the top 2, do something for me. Type in the comments the age you first noticed gray and how fast it has moved since. 20s, 30s, 40s later, and tell me your age today. I think a lot of you are about to discover that your timeline is far earlier or far faster than you assumed was normal, and seeing everyone else's answers is the clearest way to know where you actually sit. Number 2 is copper, and this is the one I most wish were common knowledge, because the connection is not vague or theoretical. It is direct. Remember tyrosinase, the machine on the factory floor that manufactures melanin. Copper is its required cofactor. It is physically part of how that enzyme works. Without adequate copper, your body cannot produce pigment at full capacity, no matter how perfect everything else in your diet is. Studies have linked lower copper levels with premature graying, and copper also supports catalase, our cleanup enzyme that clears the bleaching peroxide. So copper is working both sides at once, building the pigment and protecting it. And almost nobody is thinking about it, because copper is not on any supplement shelf marketing itself at you. It comes from shellfish, organ meats, cashews, and sesame seeds, foods that many people over 60 eat rarely or never. The mistake, and I have to be firm here, is treating copper as something to supplement aggressively once you hear this. Copper is a trace mineral. You need a small amount, and excess copper is genuinely harmful. Get it from food, and only supplement if a doctor has tested you and told you to. And now, before number 1, let me return to what I mentioned earlier, for those of you dealing with thinning as well as graying. I want to be completely clear, because I do not want anyone misunderstanding me. Nothing you put on your scalp changes the color of your hair. Pigment is decided inside the follicle, and that is a nutritional and internal matter, which is the whole subject of this video. But density is a different problem, and it does respond to what reaches the scalp directly. If that is you, and you would rather not spend your evenings blending oils in your kitchen, there is a botanical ritual called radix that combines the 3 things I recommend most for density: rosemary, saw palmetto, and castor oil, into a 2-minute daily routine. It is botanical, with no minoxidil and no finasteride, and it is backed by a 90-day money-back guarantee, so you can try it without risk. It is designed for men, but the formula works for anyone, for the thickness, not the color. You will find it linked in the description, or point your phone at the code on screen. And now, number 1, the most documented nutritional cause of premature graying in the medical literature: vitamin B12. Let me explain why it sits at the top and why it becomes so much more common in our age group. B12 is essential for producing healthy red blood cells, which deliver oxygen to your follicles, and for the rapid cell division that pigment production depends on. A deficiency is one of the classic, well-established causes of early gray, and it is reversible in a way that genuinely surprises people. But here is the part that matters enormously after 50, and that almost nobody explains. B12 absorption is not simple. To pull B12 out of your food, your stomach must produce adequate acid and a substance called intrinsic factor. Both decline with age, which means, and I want you to really hear this, you can be eating plenty of B12 and still be deficient because your body has lost the ability to extract it. That is why this is so common in older adults and so often missed. Let me tell you about Robert, 58, a patient of mine, whose beard went from mostly dark to nearly white in roughly 2 years, which was far faster than anything in his family history. His hair loss was minimal. It was the speed of the color change that struck me. His blood work came back with B12 well below range, which fit perfectly with a diet of skipped breakfasts and very little meat or fish. We corrected it under his physician's guidance. It was not overnight, and I never promised him it would be. But over the following months, he noticed new growth coming in, with more of his natural color than he had seen in years. The mistake with B12 is assuming you are fine because you feel fine. It builds silently for years. So here is exactly what to do, and it comes down to one appointment. Do not guess, and do not start swallowing minerals based on a video. Because with iron, zinc, and copper in particular, too much causes real harm and can create brand new deficiencies. Instead, book a visit and ask for a specific panel by name. say that you are experiencing premature or rapid graying, and you would like your vitamin B12, your ferritin, your vitamin D, your zinc, and your copper checked. Ask for ferritin explicitly, not just a standard blood count. And ask for the actual numbers rather than the word normal, because several of these have wide ranges where the bottom end is technically acceptable but far from optimal. While you wait, you can support all 5 safely through food, which will never overdose you. Shellfish, cashews, and sesame seeds for copper. Fish, eggs, and dairy for B12. Red meat and leafy greens paired with vitamin C for iron. Pumpkin seeds and nuts for zinc. Fatty fish and sensible sunlight for vitamin D. And add one more thing worth knowing. Smoking is strongly associated with premature graying because it dramatically increases the oxidative stress we talked about. So if that applies to you, it belongs on this list too. One more thing belongs on this list, and it is not a nutrient, so it does not get a number, but it fails more people than zinc does. Your thyroid. That small gland in your neck governs the growth cycle of every hair on your body, and both an underactive and an overactive thyroid have been associated with premature graying and with changes in hair texture and density. What makes it worth mentioning here is that thyroid problems are common after 50. They often develop quietly, and their early symptoms, tiredness, weight changes, feeling cold, dry skin, are so easily dismissed as ordinary aging that people live with them for years. So when you go and ask for the 5 I just listed, add your thyroid function to the request. It is a routine test. It costs almost nothing to include. And if it is the answer, it is a genuinely treatable one. The same goes for chronic stress, which drives the oxidative load we discussed and has real documented effects on the pigment cells, though I would never reduce something as complicated as a person's life to a line item on a checklist. One thing, doctor to viewer, before you change anything. These are documented associations, not a diagnosis for your situation. And age and genetics remain genuine causes that no nutrient corrects. Do not start high-dose supplements on your own, especially copper, iron, or zinc, because getting the dose wrong causes real harm. And if rapid graying comes alongside other symptoms, unusual fatigue, numbness or tingling, or hair falling out in patches, please see your doctor promptly, because those deserve proper attention. I am a doctor, but I am not your doctor. Now, one last honest word, because expectations decide whether this helps you or disappoints you. The gray hair currently on your head will not change color. Pigment is set when the strand is made, and no amount of correction rewrites a hair that already exists. What can change is what grows in from the root from here on. And because hair grows only about half an inch a month, you are looking at 3 to 6 months before you see anything meaningful, and longer before you can judge properly. The people who see real change are never the ones chasing a miracle. They are the ones who stopped accepting a story about their age, found the actual gap, corrected it, and gave their biology the months it needed. Because this was never only about covering the silver. It is about treating your hair as the honest messenger it is, and answering what it is telling you instead of painting over it. So make that appointment, ask for those 5 by name, and if thinning density is part of your picture too, the ritual I mentioned is sitting in the description with the code on screen. Come back and tell me in the comments what your numbers turn out to be. Type your age too. I read every single one. Take care of yourself. I will see you in the next one.